Hello, collective. It's been a while. I've been struggling to create content because I've had some things going on. And sometimes the store is not open because there's things going on. But those are the ebbs and flows of life. But now that I've kind of regrouped, as it were, I wanted to take, I just dropped the kids off at school. So I come to this pond, y'all know, I come here. And I wanted to take a couple minutes and ground and center and then deliver this channeled message. So first and foremost, for those of you who still do not know that there is a small group of monks walking from Texas to DC by the South in America, then check out Walk for Peace on Facebook, and don't just check it out, but catch up and keep going and follow, because they're not at DC yet. And everybody should be truly committing to today being your peaceful day. Like, just, write it down, and that's the mantra right now. I mean, it's like, pretty much God has spoken. This is our mantra. We are to have peaceful days. We are to endeavor to have peaceful days. Now, in the face of endeavoring to have peaceful days, look at what's going on in the world. Get comfortable. Look at what's going on in the world. How can I have a peaceful day when all of this is here's crazy? All of this is going on. Well, that's the point. I mean, truly, that's the point. How are you going to find your peace when your very environment is not at peace? How do you do that? That's exactly the point. It's called mindfulness. It's called being able to control your mind. And your mind will be controlled. If it's not you, it is literally not you. It's some other entity, not you, controlling the very thing that propels you and gets all of your things to happen. So it must be you. You have to be in control of your mind. I don't like to use the word have to, because it kind of can bristle up someone's sovereignty radar. But one really would benefit from practicing mindfulness to the point that it becomes your way of living, way of being, way of existing, your natural resting state. It goes beyond meditation. Like some of us, like I used to say, I meditate while driving the car. I'm just in my zone. I'm looking at all of Mother Earth's creations. I'm chilling. But then I learned, honestly, by the very simple things I was hearing from this Walk for Peace, I learned my gap in that. And I want to clear that up, because it's not just my gap. It's a gap that I'm experiencing that I need to share with collective. If you're driving, by very definition, you are doing something. You're not emptying yourself. And one of my favorite tools to empty myself is to start by playing my singing bowl. And it doesn't matter if it's tuned to a chakra, tuned to a note. It doesn't matter. When you have a singing bowl that is yours and that is your tool, you have the ability to get to know it, and you're gonna be able to get that thing singing almost as soon as you touch it, eventually. And you listen to the sound, the frequency, you feel the vibration of what you are doing because you're actively doing something. I suggest that you play with how fast or slow you go around the bowl. Play around with where you actually hold the stick on the lip, on the side of it. Are you holding it pretty far down because you're kind of holding it straight? Or do you have it like at an angle and you're kind of mixing a cake on the outside of the bowl like I do? and you get to know your way of playing it. And if you have several bowls, you can get them together and you can play them. You can play across them and make, a frequency symphony. It's beautiful. Sound bath. Um, when you're playing the bowl and you're hearing, what you start to hear is the rise and fall of the pitch. You start to hear it, and when you do, go into that. Just anticipate the rise, crescendo, right? Anticipate the fall, the decrescendo. You anticipate it, and I promise you, nothing else in the world is happening. Your now moment is that you are in frequency. You're in it. And at a certain point, when you really get in it, you may be playing that bowl without even realizing it. Or at some point, like, I allow myself to just stop. I hear it. It's reached a peak that I'm good with. And I'll set down the mallet and I just let it play until it completely dissolves and it's no longer audibly playing. It's just inner playing in my system, if that makes sense. And that's that, for me, that's 0 point. And you can close your eyes and you can be that frequency. Now, if you have, chakra tuned bowls, it's very helpful to pick one that you are working with, because when you are that frequency, you've tuned that chakra, right? So yeah, that very detailed way of saying singing bowls are very, very effective for helping control the monkey mind. When you always have that chatter going on and it just doesn't stop, and it's got this rabbit hole that is relentless, and you let yourself go there all the time because that's just how you are. You go there. Well, you scatter. You're kind of everywhere. So don't wonder why you're scattered and everywhere, right? Don't wonder. But like, the way that you can control that monkey mind is by giving it a task, giving it something to do. There's a time for you to be open, and receiving and just letting the thoughts go. I do that a lot when I just go to the water. If I'm standing in the ocean, I just let it chatter, let it have its day. But you want to be mindful and present during your day, because this is the time that you're actively living. So you want to be mindful and present. And to do that, you have to know how to control your mind in the first place. And how you build that control is by how you can channel and give the monkey mind something to do. Give the monkey something to do. The bowl can pacify it, and then you can pull it in. Because it's not about destroying. It's not about destroying the monkey. No. You want to give your monkey something to do. You want to, because everything has purpose, and if you just need to let it go, but when you are purposely living your life, you want to have that level of control. Circling all the way back, this is why when things get chaotic around you, you have to be your own center. You can't rely on an external entity to be your center. If anything, you're going to be sitting atop it and you could topple, it's your center is the center of your body. You want to know how to physically center, right? Whole other episode. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But to be centered in your mind and to be able to be still, even though there's a hurricane going on around you, that's an art. You have to learn that. That's why we call it practice. You practice this mindfulness. You practice your ability to sit and be still, because you are going to repeatedly through life be asking yourself, in the midst of chaos, let's bring it back to center. Let's bring it back to center. Let's not have this panic attack. Let's not have this anxiety attack. Let's not pop off on this coworker. Like, you have to cultivate your ability to do this. Yeah. So this chaotic world that we're living in, yeah. Some of you can say this chaotic city that I'm living in. There's some real clear and present danger out there. There are some things going on that in my Aquarius able to rationalize the craziest of things mind. No, can't rationalize these things. Can't make these things make sense. I just know what it looks like when I see a proper unfolding of events. And what I will tell you guys is, no matter what, and I'm going to end on this because I want you to think on this, but when we say things have to change, when we say that, really go into what you're saying. In all of my existences, and all of the scenarios, and all the different ways I've done the thing, I've never seen, I'm going to choose my words carefully, I've never seen it finally be good without it falling apart and becoming very, very bad prior. It's called rebuilding for a reason. You don't build intact structures. That's the finished product. A build is hard. A rebuild, in my opinion, is so much harder energetically when there is chaos, when there's infinite numbers of and types of entities flashing on each other or being passive around each other, like all of those different things going on. Like, that's a hard one because you've got varying degrees of tolerance in the first place for the process. So you've got some that want to escape, and you've got some that you've got your gladiators, and they are there. We are there for till the end, no matter what. And you've got all of that going on, and that's honestly why it's chaotic. Look at all those different frequencies. Look at all of that. And some of that, you've got everything from escapism to warrior, happening at once all over your planet. And you do. So yeah, it's turbulent. That's a good word. It's turbulent, but it's been turbulent for, quite a while. But it's happening. And we are to learn how to do quite a few things. Surrender and flow, detachment, mindfulness is the big one at this moment. Know thyself,